You're tuning in to the Raised by Rentals program. This podcast will contain strong language and spoilers for decades-old media properties.
Join us.
Welcome, everybody. This is the podcast where we examine pop culture franchises of the VHS era, improv news stories, because when in Rome, we do as the Romans, but when in hell, we do shots at the bar, and imagine how we might improve our favorite movies, TV, and games. I'm Josh.
I'm Mike.
And we were raised by rentals. Mike, it's time to take out the trash again.
It's garbage day. You know I had to say it.
I was waiting for it, exactly. I had to give a pause. I'm like, it's coming. Here it comes. Yes,
Shit.
That is right. It is garbage day because we are back to do the second part of what I am now calling the Midnight Drive-In Double Feature, and that is the two-part original series follow-up to last summer's late night double feature picture show duology of original stories, where we did an original story concept about the Vengabus of Death, and then we followed that up just recently with our Cotton Eye Joe sequel, which was absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
But it was one of those ideas that as soon as we thought of it, you were just like, oh, fuck yeah. Cotton Eye Joe will rise.
I still can't believe we did that.
It was so fun, though. It worked out. It was one of those shows where we kind of stumbled a few times, but when we picked ourselves back up, it was so much better, and we got to a really cool place. So yeah, I was super excited about it. And in that same vein, you insisted that you wanted to do the sequel to The Vengabus of Death, and then challenged me to figure out some kind of a follow-up to my part of the late night double feature picture show two-parter, which was hot garbage. And I'll be honest, I agreed to it, and I had even posed an idea a few episodes ago. I forget exactly which one, where I had come up with something that might be kind of a neat idea for a prequel, but I wasn't really sure. But yeah, I did recently commit to it. I'm like, okay, we're going to do a prequel. I thought I had a pretty good idea, and the last couple of weeks I've just been kind of going, yep, I'm just waiting for the day to record. It's all scheduled. Here we go. I got to work on getting these other episodes out. And then today I had a bunch of errands and stuff around the house, and I had to do some repairs, and I was so busy. But the whole time I'm like, oh my God, I got to get this done. We got to record. And I don't know if I like this idea anymore. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. But I'm running out of ideas, and I really liked Hot Garbage. It may be a little arrogant to say that you like your own idea, but it was this cool thing that I came up with, and I was proud of it, and I thought that it came out really well, just like Vengabus.
Yeah, no, I don't think you should feel like it's arrogant. It's absolutely be proud of what you created, because it was fun.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and the Vengabus of Death was really fun too. I felt I had to rise to the challenge of it,
Right.
And now I feel the same way. I have to meet the challenge of the bar that was set with bringing in fucking Cotton Eye Joe as a character. So I was like, okay, I have it. Today, while I was doing some repairs, literally swinging a hammer, dripping sweat in a hot camper with no air conditioning, and I was like, oh, I got this. I knew exactly what to do, because while I was sitting there, in that hot room, sweating, working, I was dirty, and I was thinking about Hot Garbage, and I'm like, this is exactly the atmosphere that we talked about for that original movie, that this sort of dirty, New York in the summertime with no air conditioning, and everything stinks, and everything's hot, and everything's, sweaty and gross. And I was in the perfect mindset. But then I thought, okay, what am I going to do? We got to figure this out. How do we get to a point where we can tell a story about a fiery dumpster out for blood? But I think I got it. I think I came up with something, and it's pretty fun. And I think what it hinges on is a little bit of a genre switch. Now, I think we've had some luck in the past with doing exactly that, whether we've done like a fake sequel or we've done like a what if remake. But every time that we kind of like mix up the genre for the follow up, we end up having a ton of fun. And, we've mentioned it before. The one that stands out the most is, Cobra 2, Assignment Miami Beach.
Yes.
And we've done a lot of things where we've taken a movie or a franchise that wasn't horror and we've done a follow-up that is horror, and those are always a lot of fun. So this time I want to do the opposite. There's still going to be scary stuff in the story, and it could still technically be classified as horror, but I'm thinking it'll be more of a thriller, because what I want to do is I want to tell a story in the same vein of what I think of as the like small town holy crusade movies, right? So I'm talking like Death Wish, Roadhouse, Next of Kin, like Walking Tall with The Rock, where you get this character who like really doesn't want to kick everybody's ass, but they just push him too far, and then he just goes on a holy fucking crusade to take down whatever bully is in like charge of, this like small town and making everyone's life hell. And that's exactly what I want to do. I think there honestly aren't enough movies like that, like people who just fucking snap and go on a murder spree, but like they're the good guy.
Yes.
And yeah, that's what I want to do. But yeah, we're going to work into this, the origin of how does a dumpster in like big city New York become, haunted by some kind of a bloodthirsty spirit that trades, dead bodies for gifts.
Nice.
All right. So let's just dive right in, and let me kind of give you the broad strokes of what I thought of today. In the same vein of a lot of our episodes, where it's like, okay, I had this idea, I don't want to think about it too much because I wanted to improv it live on the show, but it's hard not to think ahead because you want to figure out, is this a good idea? And it's like, okay, so if I did this and then this happened and then this happened, like, what kind of fun stuff can I do? Like, can I bring in something weird? You gotta kind of think about it a little bit. And then at a certain point, you just got to say, okay, I got to stop. Like, if I think about this anymore, I'm going to write the whole thing before we even get started. And I'm just going to be sitting here telling it to you, and you're not going to have anything to, input.
Right.
So the setup here is, if Hot Garbage took place in, I don't remember if we had set like a time frame or a year, but we had talked about like the 80s, 90s, sort of like rundown New York. So this is going to be just like in like Roadhouse and Walking Tall and movies like that. We got to do small town. We're going to get out of the city, move to a small town. Okay. But the garbage connection here is that this is a small town. It can be close to New York, upstate New York or something like that. But it's a small town where the main business or the main employer of people who work there is a giant landfill. Right.
Okay.
Where they bring garbage from like all over the place. Now, you and I grew up in Niagara Falls, New York, where there was a landfill behind the Kmart.
Yep. Oh, Seacoast Hill.
Exactly. And that shit got to be so tall that you could like see it from like miles around, right? It's like it's like the highest elevation, and it's like right in the middle of town in like a busy commercial district.
Oh, the stank that came off of that. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I didn't think there was any coincidence that was behind the Kmart.
Right, exactly.
Not too far from my high school.
Right.
Or the Walmart, for that matter.
Also true.
Yeah, and there was also, the toxic waste, dump of Love Canal that wasn't that far away either.
Yep.
And
near where I currently live.
That's right. And the Hooker chemical plant was right there on the river, pretty close. But yeah, anyway, the point I'm getting at is, so you have this small town, and it's the kind of town where, again, everybody works at this, like giant landfill. They're bringing in garbage from like other towns, in the same way that, like in the small town where my wife grew up, it was the town that had the high school. and all the other towns would send their kids on long bus rides to get to the high school because all the other towns around them were all rural and they didn't have, enough money or infrastructure to like build a school. So like one town had the elementary school and like one town had the high school. And so the community was kind of like a bunch of, little farm towns and farm communities all kind of like mixed up together into these like little hubs. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. It doesn't really matter what the name of the town is. We can come up with something. And our main character, and I'm just going to call him Phil. Phil is a guy who works at the landfill. He's just like everybody else in town. And like a lot of people in town, he likes to go to, the local watering hole, like after work. And that's pretty much all he's got going for him. I don't want to repeat the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad luck that Gus Zdarsky had from Hot Garbage, but this is a similar, like, down on his luck kind of a guy, the kind of guy who would attract some kind of like a supernatural presence into his life that could potentially make things better for him.
Gotcha.
Okay. So again, I'm trying not to just like write it all out ahead of time. So let me get as far as I got, and then we can kind of figure out like what's the next step. So the couple of things that are important to this setup is, and I'm thinking again, movies like Roadhouse or like Rolling Vengeance, or where you have this setup of a small town, everybody's kind of down on their luck, and then there's some force in town, some person who is kind of like runs the place. Like, the mayor is, like a figurehead, and, all the cops kind of do whatever the guy in charge of town says. So in this case, it's the guy who runs the sanitation company that runs the landfill, because almost all of the, breadwinning dudes in town work for the landfill. He's boss hog, right? He's got the big swinging dick and kind of does whatever he wants. And very much like in Roadhouse, he has a bunch of people in town that they work for him, his cronies, whatever. They're like the bullies who kind of do whatever they want. And, they'll go down to the local bar where Phil's just trying to have like a cold one after, a 12-hour shift of, shoveling fucking shit and garbage. And these dudes are going to come in and, make fun of him and, take the pool table away and, grab the girls' asses and, whatever, take his beer and like say, hey, thanks for buying me a drink, buddy. All that kind of, just kind of like smarmy bullshit. Like, right. I'm getting angry at them just talking about it.
Those types of stereotypical, the adult bullies that we see in bars and movies. Yes.
Yeah. And I think it fits right into the VHS era, like tropes of these types of movies, right?
Hell yeah. How many times in the Roseanne TV show did we see that exact character type at the local bar that they hung out at? You know what I'm saying? Like exactly. that was definitely a thing in the 80s.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a ton of movies like that. It was sort of like shorthand for, when you need to have a character whose story arc is to like stand up for themselves. Like you send them down to the bar where someone's going to like push them around and like take their girl and their drink,
Exactly.
So there's the setting in the bar where, Phil's going to have to deal with these kind of like, bullies, and they're kind of like the goons. And then, I want to get to a scene where Phil is going to go to like the big office at the landfill, which for whatever reason, I'm picturing it as like this building sort of built at like the top of the hill that kind of oversees the landfill, like a castle on the hill, and it's where this guy who runs the place, he kind of holds court where he can like overlook everything, And nice. I want Phil to go up there and have a conversation with him about something that he needs. And this is where we're going to introduce the supernatural element is with this the town boss guy. But like, let's get there. I know that you came into this completely blank with no idea of what I was going to talk about. But after hearing what you've heard so far, help me out here. Let's see if we can like introduce Phil, kind of figure out, tell the audience like what his job is, what kind of a person he is, maybe have him have some kind of interaction at this bar, and like how do we get him to a point where he's going to go up the hill to like, have a talk with the boss man, like hat in hand.
Okay, so I always do this when thinking about how a story opens. I kind of picture it in visuals. So what I'm picturing, like with the opening for this, now this is definitely going to be a prequel. So I don't know, what did you want to call it?
I I want to try to mix in as many like garbage puns and idioms and stuff as I can. So, like as we go along, we got to mention stuff like, garbage in, garbage out, or one man's trash is another man's treasure, shit like that.
Right.
And because of that, I kept coming back to good riddance to bad rubbish or just bad rubbish. Because I think bad rubbish and hot garbage kind of fit together in terms of like, they're different types of, trash.
Okay. So, because what I'm picturing is like, like a close up of just like people shoveling like a shovel in garbage, shoveling it into a container, and then like panning out and seeing like several workers like shoveling this giant pile of garbage into like different containers, and then panning out further and seeing that it's this big landfill with like fucking seagulls swarming around, cawing, going crazy, and then just like, the title card of like bad rubbish, like, or whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And
Nice,
then like
yeah.
we zoom in on Phil and we see like the montage during the opening credits of like, him cleaning up. Maybe he's pushing a big container full of garbage down to the incinerator, and then it's like you get the credits rolling by. We see him take his fucking gloves off, throw them in his locker. He's all dirty and gross looking, just kind of looks at himself in the mirror, is like meh, and then heads in his car and then rides off to the bar. And then we start, like you said, with him at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to kind of see like, all right, this is our character. This is what he does. This is what he deals with. This is the type of person he is. Like, he didn't really care to clean himself up before going to wind down for the day. Like, he a dirty motherfucker. Like, that's, and then like, and finish the opening credit montage with him sitting at the bar, like, give me another, that type of thing, just throwing him back. So we kind of get to know that character. Now, I don't know if we want to kick the story off very similar to Hot Garbage in the sense of like, we see that opening montage and then like black screen and then like hear an alarm like meh, 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 and be like 6:30 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever, and have Phil be like, oh fuck, and like get up out of bed, go through his morning routine, and then go off to work. And maybe we could see, like, as he's getting ready, we could see like bills piled up on his table. Like, he lives in like a little, shoebox, apartment building or something like that. Very similar, I guess, to Gus. But we could see the bills all stacked up. So maybe he has a reason why he has to go and ask for a raise or ask for something from the boss. Because he's clearly behind on things. He's not the best with managing his money, as we see the night before where he drank a lot of it away.
Yeah, no, I like this so far. And as soon as you mentioned like this little apartment, I think again, this is like a rural, farm country kind of a town. So what if he lives in like an apartment above somebody's garage, like a converted garage? And we can have that scene where you see the bills pile up, exactly what you said. And as he's like coming out for work, he'll come out the door and like blink in the sun and like go to light up a cigarette. And then we haven't said his name yet, so someone can just be like, "Hey, Phil," and he like jumps because he's startled and like drops the cigarette. And he looks, and it's the guy who like owns the house who's coming out, and he's like, "Oh, hey George, good morning." And he's like, "Well, Phil, I hate to bug you, but it's already the 15th, and it's a couple weeks late, and you were a little bit behind last week, and I'd really hate to have to ask you to leave, but my daughter's boyfriend's gonna come home from the service soon. He's gonna need a place to stay. If you catch my drift, something like that, right? I'm just making this up, but like, let's immediately just threaten him with he's behind on the bills. Now, this nice old guy is like, look, I don't want to have to evict you, but like, you got to get your shit together,
Yeah, and I like the fact that he's not being a prick. Like with Gus's world, everybody was a dick to him except for, I always forget her name. Was it Charisse, the hooker with the heart of gold?
Shireen, yeah.
Shireen. Yeah. She was the only one that was even kind of nice to him. Everyone else was like even his friend Chewie was kind of like, I don't know, man, get the fuck out of here. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and now that you mention it, I kind of like that contrast of like, we could do the kind of, again, I don't want to just like do a Roadhouse remake, but the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, this is a nice little town for like nice little town people, but there's like a darkness. There's something poisoning the town, like thematically, which is like, yes, there's a fucking mountain of garbage, and it's like seeping into the town with these bullies and like the big corporate sanitation company and all this sort of thing. But we haven't quite gotten there yet. Like, I think the difference between Gus and Phil here is that Phil like the whole world isn't out to get him, but something has happened to him in his life. Something bad happened before the movie started that has made him just completely give up on life. And, he's just existing at this point, and there isn't really anything going on in his life, that gives him any sort of like, meaning or motivation. And I think that kind of will help us get to, this point where he's going to snap eventually. But, for now, he's just like, he's depressed, he's sad, and maybe we need to explore like what was it that put him into this kind of funk.
Okay. I mean, do we want to go the stereotypical route and be like, oh, it was divorce, it was something like that, or maybe there was maybe we could go dark with it and be like, he was this like happy family man, but got into a car accident or something, maybe because of his drinking. So it could be one of those things where he ended up losing his family. We could go real dark with it if we wanted to.
Yeah, I think we could do that. I wasn't initially thinking of that. I was thinking something like maybe like his brother and he both used to work up at the landfill, like, and his brother got like hurt on the job and died or something like that. But I kind of like this too. Hell, we can maybe even do both. And I feel like we've done things similar to this in the past with characters, like back in our Trick or Treat episode where we had people, kind of like drink themselves into a point where they kind of like ruin their lives and, drive people away or lead to the death of a loved one or something. So I want to be leery of like repeating ourselves, but let's see if we can combine these, because I do like this idea of this sort of like really deep tragedy. So what if it was like that? What if we do at some point, I don't know how this is going to fit yet. Let's have a scene where we do a little flashback of, he's working up on the landfill, and we're going to reveal that working conditions are really dangerous. Like they're not up to, OSHA code on this landfill. Right. And, he's working up there with his brother. They're having a little chat. Maybe they're talking about maybe Phil like is single, but he's talking to his brother. His brother's name is Lee, and Lee is saying like, "Oh yeah, man, I can't wait to to get off shift today. Me and Carla and the kids, like we're gonna start the weekend early and go out to the amusement park or whatever." Like he's kind of like talking about how his life is great, and and maybe Phil is like, "Hey man, like I can cover for you, man. Like just go ahead, just get out of here. Like go early, and." Or whatever, I want something where Phil's going to kind of blame himself because either, his brother kind of snuck away early and then like, oh shit, like the whole family got into a car accident. And like, maybe if Lee hadn't left early that day, like, they would have made it, to Disneyland or something. And, maybe Phil feels bad about that. Or maybe it's that Phil was supposed to cover for Lee that day and, got too drunk or, whatever, woke up late and then, gets to work that day and Lee had to stay late and cover for him. And then Lee gets hurt and killed on the job. And now Phil feels terrible because fuck, if he had just gone to work that day on time, that never would have happened. Something that's going to make him feel real guilty.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No. The reason I initially had suggested that like the family death was just because I was thinking this is like this nice happy family town, and if you have like this one character that sticks out like a sore thumb in the sense of like he doesn't fit in because he's lost whatever that was that the rest of the town has, he doesn't have that family anymore. He does like, so he's like that one tragic character. But I like where you're going with this. So what if it was something along the lines very similar to what you just said, like where Lee has, he's the happy family man, and Phil, he wants to be like that, but he hasn't met the right person yet, all that kind of thing. Like he's just kind of like looking up to his brother, and maybe Phil's a little bit of a fuck up. He's a little bit I don't want to say self-centered, but he doesn't make the best decisions. So
yeah, we can show
Okay.
that he's young at this time, at this flashback happens. I mean, he's young. He's like 20 years old, not technically supposed to be like of drinking age, but like, everybody goes to the bar after work, but he's just a young guy who's hanging out with people older than him and really isn't mature enough for this scenario. So he's just like young and dumb, but like,
Right.
I don't think there's nothing, no slight on him as a person, but a lot of people do stuff when they're young and dumb and like they're put in situations where, they're with an older crowd or, maybe, they're being forced to grow up a little bit too fast.
Right. Yeah. So what I'm thinking here is like, so Lee and his family have plans that maybe his vacation is going to start the next day, and they're gonna take this big trip, that they've been planning and all that, and Phil's all excited, for his brother, but he goes out drinking with his buddies like he does every night, and he ends up getting way too fucking wasted and calling off sick the next day. And then, Lee being his brother is like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, you know what? We'll push off the start date one more day. Because I mean, I've done this
Mm-hmm.
at my work before, where it's like my vacation's supposed to start and someone gets sick, and they're like, can you work one more day? Like, we can extend your vacation by a day, and be like, all right, fine, whatever, I'll work one more day. Just to make it a little bit easier on the entire department. So what if it's something like that, where Lee's like, I got to go to work. It's my brother. He's sick. I'm covered
Mm-hmm.
for him. And maybe that day there's a horrible accident. So now the wife and kids blame Phil for losing Lee. Like, it was supposed to
Mm-hmm.
be you, that type of thing. Like, we could even do the
Yeah.
montage of like the funeral and all that, and have the crying widow look right at Phil and be like, it was supposed to be you,
Mm-hmm.
and we could do all that, and then like we could explain that montage, and then see like, modern day Phil looking at a picture of him and his brother, like when they were much younger, and just kind of like turn it face down on his counter or something, like just something to kind of tell us like he never got over that. He's still pretty fucked up all these years later. He blames himself for the death of his brother.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. I like that a lot. Um, and then I want to get back to the plot, but I think this setup is all really important stuff too. And so I don't know that I want to have the like wife, the sister-in-law and the kids around to
Oh no,
really drive it home. I feel like they probably would have left town, but
yeah.
so now Phil is just there alone, like he's just all by himself in this like little town. Maybe instead of George being just like some kindly old man, well, I mean, you tell me, do we want to have George be the kindly old man and we can kind of keep up the vibe of like, hey, this is a nice town, or do we have it be that like that's his dad who came out of the house in the morning and is like, hey, Philly, like you're, like I know you're my son, but like you haven't paid rent in 2 months, like I gotta, maybe he's got a sister. He's like, your sister's boyfriend's coming home from the army. He's gonna need a place to stay. Like, he's got money. Like, I need you to like ship shape. Get your shit in order. Or something like that.
Personally, I kind of like it just being like the kindly old man, only because it draws such a parallel to how nasty Mario was to Gus.
Yeah.
Because it's like we have this completely different landlord situation, where it's like it's still like an old man. It could even be like an old Italian man, but it could be the opposite stereotype. Where with Mario, we had the what's the matter for you, like the mafioso,
Yeah.
fat, like that real bad Italian stereotype. And then we could go the opposite direction, have like the kindly old grandfatherly Italian, the guy who's like, oh, you're too skinny, let me give you some food, that kind
Yeah.
of guy. Like
Yeah.
maybe he even does that. Like, he brings up, he's like, oh yeah, the missus made she made a lot of spaghetti last night, I'm bringing you some leftovers, like that kind of a thing. Like, just he cares, but he's
Hmm.
still like, dude, you got to pay your rent, come on. Like,
Yeah.
the wife
Yeah.
is getting on my ass. Like, I get it. We're retired. We don't need a lot of money, but we still got to make a little, man. You understand where I'm coming from, Phil? Come on, help a guy out. Like, he could be like that
Yeah.
kind of. He's really trying not to be a prick, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you can't live here free.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm picturing this guy as like he dresses real nice. He's got like a real like a little pencil thin little mustache. He wears this
Mm-hmm.
huge like dark glasses, not sunglasses, but like like the transition lenses that are really dark
Yes.
in the morning, and they're just gigantic like bug eyes. And he's got his hair slicked back with like straight up like oil, like tonic, like old school hair treatment. And he comes out and, he's got his pants are like hiked up to like his rib cage. And but
Yes.
he's just this like like nice old little Italian guy living in the country, and then Phil's gonna feel maybe he makes a little bit of a passive aggressive comment like, oh, the wife made too much spaghetti, I bought you, I feed you. He's like, maybe you come home early tonight, maybe you come home early, you have dinner with us, don't go out to the watering hole, or we'll call the bar that, don't go out to the watering hole tonight, you come home, you save your money, you pay your rent, you come have dinner with us, what do you say? And
Yeah.
and then have Phil be like, oh, okay, Mr. Gianni, I'll be home, and Yeah, so I think this is really cool. We kind of like paint this little scene, and at some point we'll find out that the sister-in-law and the kids, like, they moved out of town, and like they were, they couldn't stay around anymore with like the memory of Lee, and all this. Yeah, so I like that. So yeah, let's have that night. He goes through work, he goes through the motions, work sucks and it's dirty, and that night he goes back to the watering hole, and he's just, he told Mr. Gianni he was just going to come home and like eat dinner with them and not go out, but what does he do? He just goes straight to the watering hole, and it's like, a beer and a shot, line him up, and he just starts drowning himself like he does every single night. And we could learn some information here from the bartender who could give us some of this backstory, and maybe he says something like, oh, your dad was in here, looking for you, and he's like, oh, I don't want to talk to him, whatever. And just like there's some family drama. But then this is when Brock and the boys, like the thugs, and these are like, I'm picturing these sort of like 80s thugs who drive like Corvettes and T-tops and Mustangs, and they come in with like mullets and trucker hats and like the sleeves ripped off their T-shirts tucked into their jeans with like giant like belts, giant belt buckles, I should say. You know what I'm talking about.
So the bar crowd from Over the Top.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, they're gonna like peel into the parking lot, blasting some like Leonard Skinner, and come bust the door in and just start yelling to the bartender like, hey Johnny, line them up, we got 12 tonight. And then they're bringing in girls with them in like little Daisy Duke shorts and shit. It's just this very stereotypical the 80s like tough guys with the Burt Reynolds mustaches.
Yes.
But we gotta have a little.
One of them's named Brock. I love that.
Yeah. Like the ringleader. That's Brock. He's Brock the Rock. Whatever. And they all gotta have names like that. They all gotta have these like stereotypical like tough guy names. Like Dutch and Butch and shit like that.
I don't know why, but there's got to be like a little guy named Louis.
I want to get into things with the boss of the sanitation company and all that. So let's go a little faster here. And I think people can kind of imagine what we're talking about. Like, these guys are going to come in, they're going to take over the joint. They're going to, unplug the jukebox, plug it back in so they can put their own song on, and and then, they're going to push people away, whoever's playing the pool table, and they're going to get in there. And then Brock's going to come over to the bar and, start ordering drinks. And, maybe the bartender's like, hang on a second. And he's pouring a drink for Phil, and then Brock's like, oh, this is perfect, you got it ready for me. He grabs Phil's like freshly poured beer and and sloshes it while he's cheering with the guy next to him, a little toast, and then they go off, and Phil's left there with like his shot spilled and the beer all over the the bar, while the bartender's going to go and fix him up, and you just see Phil just start smoldering. For the first time, we see some emotion in Bill. Like, he's going to look at Brock, and he's not going to do anything yet, but you can see he's smoldering, like he's holding back his rage that this bully is just pushing everybody around.
Yeah. Okay, I dig it.
So let's get to the next day. So there needs to be a scenario where he's got to go up, like, kind of hat in hand, and like, talk to the boss man. But I think what we need here is he wants something. And we talked about him being like behind on the rent, and he's spending all his money at the bar. Maybe there's like a locker room at the landfill's place, and there's some other coworker that he's with, just to give us an excuse for them to start talking. And maybe the guy's talking about how, like, oh yeah, like there's shit, man, they're just tossing out overtime lately. And Phil's like, oh, like, I don't know, like, what do you mean, you guys, there's overtime? Like, he's like, oh yeah, man, like, as much as you want, like, you didn't sign up for it. And he's like, oh shit, like, no one told me. I don't know what it is exactly, I'm just making this up, but something where for some reason, Phil is kind of being singled out as like, well, shit, like, why am I not getting the overtime or the promotion or whatever it is? And let's have him go up to like the office.
I like it being overtime, because this is something that I see often at my work, where overtime doesn't come around very frequently. And and I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but like we have like an overtime list, the way it's supposed to be followed. And some people play favorites and don't actually follow the list appropriately, and then that's when you have to get the union involved, yada yada yada. But there's the whole like overtime list. So it's like if they're handing out overtime and they're basically saying like, yeah, like anyone that wants it can get it, I could see Phil being the type of person that would be overlooked for that. Maybe because he's not the most reliable employee. but he clearly needs the money badly. So like, yeah, that would be something that he would go to the boss and be like, hey, so I heard about this overtime. Is there any way I can get some of it? Like that type of a thing. But one thing I wanted to add is when you're talking about Brock and the boys being dicks at the bar, like I think what we should have, like how we should see like Phil get pissy is, maybe he's sitting there taking a drink, like he's drinking his beer, he sets it down, and maybe we could have like Brock or somebody like bump into him and knock it out of his hand and have him just kind of laugh it off, be like, oh yeah, that's okay, I'll get the next round, right? Yeah, or you got the next round, right, Phil? Something like that. And just kind of like laugh it off and clap him on the back and keep going. And Phil's just sitting there like, you motherfucker. Like maybe like he opens his wallet and we see like he's just got like a quarter in there or something. Like he doesn't got any more money. He can't get another beer. Like that was it. But we should also show like when he gets home, like, maybe have him like stumble home, like go upstairs into his little apartment above the garage and slam the door and pan into the house. And we could see Mr. Gianni and his wife sitting there and have her look over at Mr. Gianni and be like, I told you he wasn't coming. Like something like to kind of like nail home that like the town knows Phil's a fuck up. Like everybody around Phil knows he's a fuck up. This is also why he's being overlooked for the overtime that, the boss is looking for. So now fast forward to what you said. He's in the locker room, have some other guy, I don't know why Dewey is the name that came to head. So Dewey's sitting there. He's like, oh man, he goes, I'm so fucking tired. I've been doing all this overtime, and have Phil like, putting on his boots, be like, overtime? What are you talking about? Be like, oh, you didn't know? You didn't see the sign up sheet? Like, yeah, it's in the boss's office. There's a whole fucking sign up sheet, man. Me and a bunch of the other guys who've been doing overtime every night this week. I've been raking in the dough, but I'm fucking tired. It's like, I'm not doing it tonight, and then have Phil be like, oh, well, so there's an open shift. And then be like, well, yeah, I need a night off. I've had enough, like that kind of a thing.
There you go.
And then he goes up to the boss, like hat in hand, like you said, like, so I was talking to Dewey in the locker room, and he mentioned he's not picking up an overtime shift tonight. I was wondering if maybe I could pick that up. And then we could kind of see his relationship with the boss here.
Yeah, no, I love this. I think this is great. Yeah, this is perfect. I love all of that. And it really lends itself exactly to what I was hoping to do next, because this scene in the boss's office is going to be what kicks off, like I said before, the kind of like supernatural element of the story. That this is going to be like the little MacGuffin moment. So Phil goes up to the office, like you said, hat in hand, asking about the overtime. And the boss is, I picture him being like G.D. Spradlin, who is in like The Godfather Part 2. He's like the crooked senator of Nevada or whoever, who tries to like shake down the Corleones. He's just this real like rat-faced, slimy kind of an actor. And so the boss is, we'll call him Mr. Duval, and he's just sitting there, and he's just like blatantly like counting money and like filling out a ledger, you know what I mean, like just like a stack of money. And but the office is real dark. Again, it's like this sort of like building, sort of ramshackle, almost haphazard, built at the top of this hill, surrounded by the landfill, and it's really dark in there. Maybe there's just like one of those like swinging lights, and so it's a little creepy. And Phil goes in there and he does this whole spiel, and Mr. Duvall doesn't say anything. But then again, I don't know what the dialogue is going to be here, but he just really shuts him down immediately, but also like doesn't say much. It's just real like, nah, there's none for you. And it's like, well, I mean, Dewey said that he wasn't going to work the shift tonight, and like, I'm already here. And he's just like, nah, you're lucky you still have a job around here, or something where it's like, he's not going to tell him straight up like, hey, I don't like you, you should be fired, but like, look, I'm not doing anything special for Phil the fuck up,
right, exactly. He should even call him Phil the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, or maybe he walks in the door, gives his little speech, and Duvall doesn't say anything, and then when he does, he's just like, nah, I don't have any overtime for Phil the fuck up. And Phil's like, yes. Phil the what? He's like, everyone in town knows Phil. We all know who you are. We all know what happened with your brother. Like, we all know you don't talk to your dad. You don't pay your bills. Like, you come out here and work, and I'm happy to give you a job, but I don't have any extra crumbs for Phil the fuck up. Something like that. And he never stops counting the money this whole time. Like, he doesn't give a shit that Phil's in the office. And so this is where, and part of the reason too, I wanted this to be dark. I want it to be creepy. I want Duvall not to really like. He's not emotional. If he has any emotions, it's just greed and arrogance. But Phil is gonna like look up and like, or look at Duvall, and he's gonna think he sees somebody else there. right? So it's again, it's a dark office with like this one little swinging light. It's later in the day, and he kind of squints and he's like, maybe there's somebody standing behind Duval, like kind of in the shadow. I want to have him visibly kind of squint and lean forward a little bit. And Duval's like, something else I can do for you, you know? And
Ooh.
and then right as Phil is like, nah, I guess not, thanks anyway. Then you see that, yeah, there is somebody there. There's like a person, he sees him just for like a second. It's like a total shadow, like a silhouette. And the thing that makes it stand out is he has this like flat brimmed hat. And again, for fans of this show should be fans of the VHS era. I'm thinking the Reverend from Poltergeist 2.
Oh,
You know exactly, right? You know what I'm talking about? That hat that guy wears, this real like, it's a totally flat brim. Like it would be like a cowboy hat or something, but it's a completely flat brim. And just for a second you see that silhouette, and then you see these like reddish orange eyes looking straight at Phil. And again, Phil literally blinks and like rubs his eyes and he's like, did I really see what I just thought I saw? Like there's a dark spirit in the office standing behind Duval, and it kind of freaks Phil out. So, he's going to kind of get out of there, literally like he's literally going to shake his head of like, what did I see in there? And
nice.
And then he's going to head off to the watering hole again. And then now that we've introduced that concept of like, there's something creepy going on at the landfill, everyone knows that, this is Phil the fuck up. And now they told him to his face, like he's not, like maybe that's going to rattle him a little bit. So he's going to go back down to the watering hole like he always does. And like happens a lot, Brock and the boys are, they're in there, blasting like, Aerosmith or whatever on the jukebox. And then, they're going to come over and same thing. Something's going to happen. They're going to bump into him, spill his beer. But this is the night that Phil is finally just like, fuck it. Like, I'm not putting up with this bullshit. I don't want to escalate it immediately until like, the sort of like holy crusade that I mentioned earlier, but that's kind of where we're getting at. Like, this has to be the first salvo, in that battle of like, one of Brock's dudes, Butch is gonna, give him some shit. And this time Phil is gonna be like, nah, like you can't sit here. Like, this is my, my bar stool or whatever. I'm not fucking getting up this time. And he's like, what'd you say? Phil the fuck up? Say that again. And he's like, and we finally get into like the first conflict, but this time, it's a bar full of like, a bunch of bullies, and what we're going to see is they're going to throw him out the door with his fucking ass kicked, like get the fuck out of here, Phil, what the fuck? And that's kind of how I'm picturing this scene going, is like Phil's finally going to get some balls up to say, screw this, I have nothing else to lose anyway. But you can't just immediately beat the shit out of an entire bar of like, big tough dudes. So they're going to kick his ass.
Right. Well, real quick, I wanted to mention when you were talking about the entity in the room, the first thing that came to my mind, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Annabelle movies, but there is a scene in the second one. I can't remember if it's Annabelle Creation or not, but it's one of the only scenes that actually scared me out of that entire franchise, where there's a little kid hiding under they're playing hide and seek, and he's hiding under some stairs. And he turns around and looks, and under the stairs, like in the shadows, there's a chair with the Annabelle doll sitting on it. And it's like, oh, that's creepy. But then behind it in the darkness, you see the silhouette of the ram demon that possesses Annabelle.
Okay.
And it just grins at him. And that fucking sent shivers down my spine the first time I saw it. And the whole time you're describing it, I was waiting for you to say it grins, and I was just like, oh, like it was just giving me the willies.
Yeah. We could do that too. Like, the grin would be perfect, but I definitely want it to be like, was it kind of glowing like a little bit? Like, really? Right. I mean? Like, I want to kind of like, just for like a split second,
Right, we could even have him like maybe like the boss is smoking, like he's got a big fat stogie in there. It's an enclosed trailer, like you said, like dimly lit, up at the fucking top of the garbage hill, just like it's there's fumes, it's nasty. There's like a slow fan going. There's all this cigar smoke, and yeah, it's dimly lit, like you said. So it's that question of, did I see what I think I saw? Was it a trick of the light with the smoke? Like, what the fuck was that? And maybe when he rubs his eyes, like it's not there, so one of those we could have that question of, did he or didn't he see it? But yeah. To fast forward back to the bar, maybe he does something like, maybe he actually like puts on a song he wants. Like he puts it, maybe he even makes like a comment about like, it was always one of my favorite songs. He's been drinking a little bit. And then you get Brock and the guys come in, they unplug the jukebox, plug it in, and do the same thing again. Have him be like, hey, that was my fucking song. Like, gets his balls up to say something.
That was my brother's favorite song, that kind of thing.
Yes. And then have Brock be like, oh, you get the next one there, Philly. It's like that kind of like shoves him a little bit, and have him maybe nobody but Lee ever called him Philly or something like that. And have him be like, you don't call me that, and I'd be like, oh, what's wrong, Philly the fuck up, kind of, and have him just fucking cold cock Brock, and then just boom, it's on, like fucking bar brawl, like.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want him to go down like under, like this whole crowd of dudes who just fucking tackle him like a football team. Like he's not gonna get out of this unscathed. Like, then again, the next thing we see is they literally bust the door open and they physically throw him into like the dirt parking lot, and he's just all fucked up, like lips split, eye closed, face swollen, like he's fucked.
Yes, absolutely. So he did not walk away well from that.
Yes, no, he did not. So okay, and this is where the whole setup I had of like, okay, I knew who I wanted Phil to be. This whole thing with like the watering hole and like the local, tough guys, and this sequence where we're going to kind of introduce this entity, and I know what the entity is, and I kind of have a couple more things of like what I want to do throughout, to kind of get us to the point where Phil's really going to kind of give into the darkness that he's got inside of himself in the way that Gus did. So right here, I'm not exactly sure what the next step is, but what I want to do, if this is just you and me like writing a screenplay, and sometimes you got to kind of like say, okay, let's jump ahead and figure out like where we want to get. And what I want to do is have a scene where Phil is going to end up in this bar alone. Maybe it's this night, maybe it's the next night, but he's going to end up in there alone, finally just all caution to the wind, just completely shit-faced, just shot after shot after shot, like wasting himself because he's all fucked up, didn't get the overtime, got his ass kicked. Maybe, Mr. Gianni finally had to evict him that day, whatever. He finally had that horrible rock bottom day, and he's in this bar alone, and he hears somebody like flick a Zippo to like light a cigar, and he looks over, and there's this guy in the black suit with the black hat.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like that. So you say, why don't we do, let's see, do we want him to get fired from his job, or does he need to have it?
He needs to have it at least for now. He could be fired at some point after this sequence, but no, the reason I want to do a landfill is in the same way, again, to kind of peel the curtain back a little bit of like where I'm going with this, is in the same way that we had Gus kind of like, using the dumpster to like get things. In this case, the landfill is like the dumpster. So think of the same kind of rules applying of like, we need access to it.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Okay, so let's do this. Like we'll have the horrible night where he gets his ass kicked. Maybe he goes home, and maybe there's a note on his door that just says, Phil, we need to talk. Goes in, slams his door like he's pissed off, goes to bed, wakes up the next day. As he's walking out, we have, maybe there's a locksmith there, and like Mr. Gianni's like, Phil, I tried to tell you, we had to talk. You haven't paid your rent in 4.5 months or something, or like 5 months or something like that. Mm-hmm. And have him be like, look, I told you this was going to happen. I'm sorry. He's like, but you're evicted. You got to clear your stuff out by the end of the day. Like something like that. And he's fucking pissed. He gets in his car. He peels out. He heads off to work. He's looking at the time, and he's realizing he's fucking running late. So he gets to work. He's quickly getting dressed, and as soon as like he gets out like into the actual like landfill where he does his fucking job, maybe the boss walks up to him. What was the boss's name? Mr. Duvall. Yeah. So Mr. Duvall walks up to him, and maybe he's like tapping his watch, and he looks at him and goes, "Gonna have to dock you half a day's pay there, Phil. Next time show up on time." And then walks back into, like, still smoking that big old fat stogie with his big, gold chains, and like clearly has more than enough money, but he's going to take half of his day's pay away because, he's a non-union employee working at a landfill with a crooked boss. So
maybe Phil even says, he's like, oh, come on, I'm only a half an hour late. And then he's like, that's not what I have written down here. You're 4 hours late. and then
Yep.
maybe Brock is there, like Brock is like the supervisor, on the line, kind of like the prison guard with like the guys in the chain gang. Brock is there and he's like, yep, that's right, 4 hours late, I was here.
Yep.
He was supposed to be here or whatever. Like he's gonna back him up because Brock's like, fuck you, fill the fuck up.
Exactly. So yeah, so we have like he's got this horrible fucking day. Maybe we could even like show like a little quick montage of his work day, like while he's literally shoveling shit and garbage. Like maybe like Brock or one of the other guys like flings a shovel full of garbage on him. Just all of them laughing at him. Like he's just having the worst fucking day. And then he ends the day the same way he always does. Like maybe he goes into the locker room, changes back into his, changes out of his dirty ass fucking like, onesie, like the jumpsuit that they're going to wear. Changes out of that, gets into his clothes, like doesn't even bother to clean up his face. He's like stinking and reeking, looks at himself in the mirror, closes his locker and just gets in his car and heads to the watering hole. And to your point, he gets there, he gets his beer, and then we see the man in the black hat like sitting there behind him smoking. Like just whatever, like however we want to introduce this character, but end the horrible day with him going to the bar again, drawing that parallel to Gus, where it's like Gus had that absolutely horrible day and then it ends up with the temptation of the magic dumpster.
Yeah, yes, exactly, that's perfect. And I think it would be kind of twisted to have, he shows with the watering hole like it always is. There's people there. It's the end of the day, and maybe not as many people because everyone else is getting that good overtime that he's not getting, but
right.
at some point I want, Brock or Butch or one of these jerks to come up to him, and you see Phil kind of tense. Maybe he grabs his beer stein in a fist like, oh, don't fuck with me, I'm going to hit you with this, but have Brock or Butch or one of these guys walk up and like, slide a 50 across the bar to the bartender and be like, drinks are on me tonight. Like this guy, his drinks are on me. Like, basically the message is like, you just sit there and fucking drink your goddamn life away, like while the rest of us are, living the good life. This is all you deserve. Sitting here with your face all fucking pummeled, your whole life, everything you own in this fucking like gunny sack on the floor next to you. And you know what? Maybe tomorrow you get fired. Who knows? Maybe the next day. And he's just going to be like, it's sort of like a last fuck you of like, go ahead and drown your sorrows on me.
Maybe he could even say that. Like he could go so far as to be like, because maybe he could say something like, who knows, maybe you'll be unemployed tomorrow. Like that type of a thing, like just as a little extra salt in the wound.
Yeah.
To like, you're not only are you not making the money that the rest of us are making, and not only did we kick your fucking ass and then get your pay docked, but you know what? Maybe you won't have a job to return to tomorrow. Just, like that like, fuck. Like it's just so smarmy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and then, it's this sort of arrogant display of like success and wealth of like, what, $50, that ain't nothing, whatever. Like we're all living the good life up there, at Duval Sanitation or whatever, like while your life's going to shit. So this is a really kind of like long intro. I think in the actual movie, we could do a lot of this in like, 30 minutes or something, but I kind of wanted to set all this up. So yeah, this is where we get to the good stuff. So yeah, we could have that little thing where maybe we like speed up time, right? And we see everyone having a good time, playing pool, dancing, girls taking their tops off, and it's like the best party in the bar that we've seen so far. But the whole time you're just seeing Phil from the back slumped at the corner, and we start off this sequence with he gestures at the bartender who like, brings over like, the bottle of Jim Beam, and he's just like, you heard the man, leave the bottle, and then you just see him while everyone else is having a good time. You just see the level in the bottle go down, and he's just getting real fucked up. And then at that point, at the end of it, maybe the bartender like, locks the door, shuts the lights off, and maybe he tells Phil like, hey man, like just let me know when you're ready, stay there, sleep it off, whatever you gotta do. So now he's alone in the bar, and I mentioned he hears this sound of like this Zippo clicking to like light the cigar. And I think it was interesting a minute ago you had mentioned we saw Mr. Duval like, sucking on a stogie. And maybe this is something that we introduce when we see Mr. Duval in the office, when we see him again, on the work shift, when he tells, Phil that he's, late, is we see him like, he clicks this Zippo that has this like distinctive, noise and lights up the cigar. So Phil hears that, and it makes him turn because he's curious, like, what the fuck? Like, is Mr. Duvall in here? But it isn't Mr. Duvall. It's there's a black figure standing at the other corner of the bar, and it's the same thing. And again, he has to kind of blink, and his eyes are blurry, and he like literally lifts up and like rubs his eyes, like, do I see what I see? And then when he opens his eyes again, it's the same figure. Now he's like 6 bar stools closer. He didn't walk. He just is closer now.
Oh, fuck. That's fucking creepy.
Yeah. And then the guy, he comes up close to him, and he's holding this cigar, and he's got the, the lighter, and he's just gesturing with them as he begins to talk. So he tells Phil, he's like, I don't want to do a creepy voice, but just imagine a creepy voice, But he's essentially going to say to him, like, look, maybe there's more to this, maybe, things aren't working out so well for you. Maybe, there's some things in your life that, you need to fix, or I don't know, maybe there's some things that you need to get rid of, you need to throw it away, and start having him use this language of like, sometimes in life, when there's things that aren't working out, you need to cut them out and throw them away. And me, I'm the trash man. I can help you out.
Okay.
And he makes this offer. And essentially the offer is, he's just like, look, you help me out, I'll help you out. He's not going to come right out and tell him, like, feed my dumpster bodies or whatever. Like, I don't want to come right out and say that, because that's kind of what we're hinting at but just have him say, like, next time you need something, I'm going to be there. And next time I need something, hopefully I can rely on you. Yeah, that's what. And while he's talking, you're seeing these smoke rings, come around, like he's smoking this cigar. He's breathing smoke out. Maybe he blows a little ring and pops it with his finger, like some people do. Don't let it die a virgin, that kind of thing.
Right.
And he's it's sort of like these grand gestures, and his face is always in shadow. I don't know what he looks like exactly, but just a regular guy, not like a demon face, but like a human face, but just always in shadow, more so than it should be with the lights that are there, and this big black rimmed hat, and it's almost like he is underlit in the scene. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing.
Right.
And then at the end of it, he's like, think about it, and he just walks out of the door, and Phil looks down at there's like an ashtray where he had like left his cigar, but the cigar was never lit. It's a perfectly brand new cigar. But like this whole time, this guy's like blowing smoke rings and breathing smoke out of his nose and all this. And, it's just a creepy little moment of like, wait a second, like he was never smoking the cigar.
That's awesome. Nice. Okay. So yeah. So now does he tell him, like, maybe he, when you're talking about like, the metaphors of sometimes we have to cut it out and, throw it away, like that whole thing, is he going to hint at any individuals? Like, is he going to be like, maybe Brock needs to go? That type, like, is he going to do something like that? Or is it just going to be Phil will kind of figure it out?
Yeah, I'm not sure what works better exactly. I think I definitely want him to hint at that's what he's getting at. Maybe he could leave something behind with the cigar, something that would immediately signify, oh, this is Brock. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe his big like aviator sunglasses that Brock was wearing, or his belt buckle. I don't know. I got it. I think if he was going to hint at something, he wouldn't just come right out and say it, because he wants Phil to get there on his own.
I got it. Okay, so yeah, I like the idea of like something belonging to Brock. So maybe it's as simple as like, we see Brock always wearing like a trucker cap, like you'd mentioned that earlier, like trucker caps and mullets. Mm-hmm. So like let's have throughout the movie, like Brock always wearing like a different hat or something. They're always like these tattered different hats. And when the bar clears out that night, maybe the hat's laying on the table. Just something that we saw Brock wearing, and now it's still in the bar after the bar is cleared out. And maybe this, this enigmatic character picks up the hat, and he's looking at it, he's like, sometimes things need to be thrown out. And he just hands it over to Phil, and just kind of like a little wink, and then sets down the cigar, like you said, it's a brand new cigar, all that. So now he's questioning, like, well, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, what needs to be thrown out? But he's holding Brock's hat, so it's like that's like hint number one. And then like we could have another altercation with him, like maybe like the next day at work. Maybe Brock could like confront him in the locker room and be like, Mr. Duvall thinks you need another chance, but I fucking don't. Like, I'm gonna make sure you get your ass fired. Like, maybe he like comes right out and threatens him. Like, we are going to find a way to get rid of you, Phil the fuck up, and like, so now he feels like a rat in a cage. Like he's gotta do something to get the fuck out of this.
Yeah.
So maybe that leads to an accident where Brock doesn't leave the landfill that day.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually perfect. And I was hoping that we could get to a point where, very much like with Gus, like he doesn't immediately just be like, all right, time to start murdering people. But like, we got to start somewhere, right? So yeah, I think this is good. Just have Brock, just confront him and maybe even tell him like, after this confrontation, he can be like, oh, and by the way, I need my fucking hat back, Dick. Like, I know, whatever. Like, he's like, somebody took my hat. He's like, I know it was you. Whatever.
Yeah, maybe even says something like, I've seen you picking up other people's trash before. Like, I know you took my fucking hat, you loser. Like just kind of making it out to be like you're taking my leavings type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that too, like picking up people's trash. We established that with Gus. We didn't establish that at all with Phil. Like he's not like digging through trash cans or anything. But maybe we could just throw a couple of like scenes in earlier while we're setting things up. Like Phil's not above, grabbing somebody else's cigarette butt out of the ashtray to like smoke the last couple of puffs. He's not above like, someone leaves their newspaper behind in the locker room. He's going to pick it up and take it. Like that's his now. So just these little hints of like, because he's so broke, he's like, oh, don't mind if I do.
Dude, we could even do that like in the opening montage, like with him doing his day at work, like where he's shoveling the garbage. We could see like maybe there's like I don't know if we want to do like sunglasses. Maybe like let's say fucking sunglasses. Like he sees a pair of sunglasses laying in the garbage and he like picks it up and he like wipes them off and he looks at him kind of like and actually like puts them on his head. And we could have was it Dewey, who shall be like, dude, like, just kind of like look at him like, the fuck is wrong with you? And I'd be like, they're perfectly good sunglasses. What? So we could see that, like, yeah, he's willing to take, if it looks good, he's willing to take it.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. So now we have the scene where Brock kind of confronts him, and then we go back outside and it's like, they're shoveling whatever. And of course, there's a lot of people who work there too that are driving like, I don't know, front loaders or, skid skiers or whatever. Like not everybody just has a shovel, but of course, Phil does. Right. And so at some point, because Brock is like a supervisor with like a clipboard, I want him to like kind of, he sees something like, hey, motherfucker, that's not where that goes. And he kind of goes off and Phil looks around and just kind of follows him. And, it's like he's thinking like, I got to do something, but I don't know what I'm going to do, And at some point, we see maybe Brock goes and he kind of goes off to the side and, actually, I got it now. So he goes off to the side. Brock sees somebody who is like, smoking a J over behind like a barrel somewhere. And Brock's like, hey, motherfucker, not on the job, but of course he's off away from other people. So he goes over there and he like confiscates the joint from the guy who was trying to take a little weed break, runs the dude off. And then, of course, Brock looks around and starts taking a toke. Like, I ain't going to fucking waste a perfectly good joint,
Right. Exactly.
And this is when, Phil's going to kind of get closer to him. And you see Phil kind of like pick the shovel up like he wants to swing it at him. But like, I don't know, second thoughts, like, do I want to do this? Like, I don't know. Like, this is, I'm not just like, in his head, he's like, I'm not just a murderer. But, we're just kind of seeing him like hem and haw over it, and then Brock turns and sees him with his shovel kind of halfway up and is like, what the fuck, Philly the fuck up, what are you doing over here, you're trying to hit me with that, you stupid motherfucker, like, get back to work. And Phil kind of like loses his chance because he didn't have the guts in this moment. So yeah, he turns to walk away, and Brock goes to like, smoke the joint, and he slips because like they're standing on piles of trash, right? So he slips, he tumbles down like a little hill, maybe he bangs his head on something, and Phil is like, oh shit, he runs down the hill to see if he's okay. Brock's knocked out, blood coming out off of his temple. Maybe he's dead, maybe he's not, I don't know. And then you just see Phil kind of like look around like, did anyone see that? No? He's like, okay. And he just starts burying him in trash.
Yes.
And then as soon as he's done, he looks around again like, did anyone see that? And of course there's no one around, except he sees the silhouette on the top of the hill, like the sun behind somebody, and you see that hat. You see the shape of that hat that the trash man was watching him do it, you know?
Nice. And yeah, like, no, I love the idea. So I do think that Brock should die here. So yeah, so we could have the thing. Maybe it even becomes a scuffle. Like he sees Phil with his shovel half up. And he's like, "What the fuck? What are you gonna sneak up behind me, you little fucking bitch? You can't fight like a real man." Like loses his shit and starts shoving Phil. And like Phil's just sitting there taking it, like tensed up, like holding the shovel up to his chest, like closing his eyes, like, "Oh, what the fuck am I doing?" You know, and then to your point, Brock slips because he's aggressively coming at him. He slips, tumbles down, and maybe he gets like impaled on something. Maybe there's like a piece of metal sticking out, and it fucking like jams through, maybe like through his fucking throat, so he can't scream.
Nice. Yeah,
and
perfect.
He's just like gurgling and like looking up at Phil, and Phil looks around, like sees that nobody sees, and then just smiles at Brock and just starts covering him up with the garbage. As like Brock is like holding the hand up, like, you know, and Phil's just, you know, whistling while he works, dumping it, and then like looks around, and then that's when he sees the silhouette on the hill, and like maybe does the silhouette, maybe it nods at him, maybe it does something like an act of confirmation, like to let him know like that's what it meant. Type of thing.
Yeah.
So do we want to have it nod, or do we want to have a gift appear?
There has to be a gift for sure. Yeah. No, let's have him nod. But yeah, we definitely have to have, like you said, like there has to be a gift. So maybe after Phil finishes burying Brock, you know, again, he looks around like no one saw that. Okay, you know, trash man saw me, but whatever. So yeah, maybe he goes back over to where he was working with, you know, Dewey or whoever. So he's going back to his normal spot. And like, you know, the first time he goes to like shovel some crap, he clangs on something there. Like, you know, of course we showed before, like you said, he's not above like, oh, let me see what's down here. Maybe a pair of sunglasses or something. Like he clangs on something, and he clears the trash away, and it's like, oh, it's this brand new nice like Western style belt buckle and like a leather belt, brand new. And he's just like, yeah, don't mind if I do. You know, like the kind of thing that Brock would have been wearing, you know. Or maybe maybe it was Brock's and somehow it's over here now, you know.
Nice.
So okay, so let's cut ahead to, again, he's back at the watering hole, you know, and now he's walking in with a little bit more spine, you know, a little bit more of a skip in his step, and, you know, orders a drink like he always does. Let's have one of like I hate to just like dismiss all of like the female characters in this story because we haven't really had any, but there's got to be like, you know, these ditzy blonde chicks in the Daisy Dukes with the cutoff shirts who are just like hanging on all of these like, you know, big tough looking dudes, you know, like again, it's just the stereotype. And let's have one of these you know, girls kind of come over and like ask Phil for a light, and then Butch just walks up right behind her and like fucking shoves her, pulls her like roughly out of the way, like, what the fuck, Tammy, we don't talk to Phil the fuck up, what the hell are you doing, you know? And right in that moment, Phil just kind of like smiles a little bit, like, okay, motherfucker, Butch, you're next, you know,
right?
and then we cut again, another scene later. Kind of let's speed up a little bit. We cut another scene later, and we just see Butch go outside over by the dumpsters behind the bar, and, you know, just starts pissing in behind the bar, like, oh, you know, and then you just hear clang as he gets bashed on the back of the head with a fucking shovel, and then, right, and then you see Phil, and maybe at first he's happy, and then like people are leaving the bar, and he's like, oh shit, like what do I do, you know? And let's show that we mentioned he has this car. We never really talked about what his car is. His car's got to be some kind of like a sports car that used to be nice, but he clearly got it from like the junkyard and like fixed it up. Like it's got, you know, like rust that's been patched on it, and like it's two different colors, you know, it's a junk heap, you know, but it used to be a nice car, you know, like a nice Camaro or something.
I was just gonna say a Camaro.
Whatever it is, it has to have something with the trunk, right? Because while people are like coming out of the bar, Phil's gonna kind of like freak out, and then the next thing you know, we see him like driving up like, you know, the lonely road up to the landfill on the hill. You know, he pulls up to the gate, and he works there, so he knows how to like get in or sneak in or something. You know, opens up the gate. He's got his car, and then you see him open the trunk, and there's Butch, and like, you know, shoved in the trunk, and he pulls him out and just starts burying him in the landfill. You know, and he thinks that no one's around because it's like, you know, the middle of the night, like no one's around. Like this is like the 80s and like a, you know, a low rent non-union shop. There's no cameras, you know. Right. Yeah, and so he buries him. Like, okay, it worked for Brock, it worked for Butch. Okay, cool. So he goes back out to his car, But now his car is like, oh shit, it's like freshly painted. Like, what the fuck? How did that happen? Like,
Nice.
like, okay. And then again, he looks around, and then you see the trash man, like, silhouetted under, like, a hanging light. And then this time he just kind of, like, doffs his hat a little bit at him, like, thank you very much, Uh,
Nice. Okay, so I love all the, like, let's back up to the bar for a sec. So you mentioned, like, Tammy going up and asking for a light, and I like the idea of him yelling at her and being like, oh, we don't ask Phil the fuck up, but I want him to do something. Like, I want him to, like, harm Phil in some way. So Phil is just kind of like, all right, motherfucker, you're next. Maybe he like fetches Phil upside the head, like smacks him really hard in the back of the head, like, we don't talk to Phil the fuck up. This guy's a fuck up. Like, fuck him, like freaking out. He's drunk. He's out of it. So, because he got fucking fetched and everybody else starts laughing at him, that's when we see that look of like, okay, you're next. That kind of like look of determination. Because I feel like, because he didn't kill Brock. Like,
Yeah.
Brock kind of fell of his own accord because he was trying to fight Phil for having thought maybe I should hit him with a shovel.
Yeah, exactly.
So but he got something out of the deal. So now it's like, okay, he's put two and two together. This weird entity has asked him to take out the trash. He took out the trash. He got a gift. Okay. So now here's another piece of trash who's attacking him, who's causing him harm in some way. But like, okay, motherfucker. And maybe he could even get, oh, this is perfect. Okay. So when like Phil, maybe Phil's leaving, he doesn't do anything to Butch yet. He's walking out of the bar, and like maybe Butch shoves him aside. He's like, one side, asshole, walks around the side of the bar and starts pissing, and he's pissing right by a dumpster. And maybe this is where Phil kind of cocks his head and is like, I'm going to take out the trash. And he gets
there you go.
Gets the shovel out of his car. Boom, hits him. We do everything you said. And I want to, like, I'm picturing this scene, like when you said he was driving up into the landfill. I think it would be great that in the foreground of the scene, like back facing the camera, we see, Phil's Camaro, like driving up the winding road to the landfill. And we just see a shadowy figure, like holding a cigarette or holding a cigar and like puff smoke into the camera. So it's kind of like he's like, right, like the trash man is watching type of thing.
Yeah.
So we do the whole thing where he buries him and yada, yada, yada. And he goes back to his car, and his car's all fucking painted. And he's looking around like, what the fuck? And then he sees, again, we see the trash man watching him. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, and now it's like everything has clicked. Now he fully gets it. Like, this guy, whatever he is giving me shit for killing these fuckers.
Right, exactly. And, of course, he wants to kill these motherfuckers because they're all a bunch of dickheads, and it's not just that, like, his life sucks, like with Gus, where Gus was like, well, I'll just do whatever the hell I have to do to make my life a little bit better, and if I gotta like bump off my landlord, well, fuck that guy. But these are bullies. This is what I'm talking about. This is like that sort of like holy crusade, because now, unlike Gus, who was like reluctant for a long time, I don't want it to take that long for Phil to get to that point. We took a long time in this story so far, kind of setting up who Phil is, but now we're at that point where he's like, okay, cool. There was one accident, one I did on purpose, and now it's fucking on. Like, let's do this,
Now it's hunting season.
Exactly. And I love when you said, like, let's take out the trash, because again, I want to use these, sort of like silly puns as much as we can, I should have thought ahead of like what kind of like awesome like 80s rock song can we come up with that has like something to do with like taking out the trash. All I can think of is like Ray Charles, but hell, we could even use that, take out the papers in the trash, over like several scenes of, Phil, who's going to like hunt these motherfuckers. He's going to get them at the bar. He's going to, he's got to like kick in the door of one of them, while, he's in bed with his old lady, whatever. And, it's like, we're just going to start seeing this. But go ahead.
That's fucking perfect. The take out the papers and the trash. Don't. Oh, you don't get no spending cash. Like, because he says you don't get no spending cash. Like, it's perfect. And he's killing these fuckers and then getting what he wants. I fucking love that. That is the perfect song.
That's awesome.
So we do the thing, like, after we get the nod, he realizes, like, okay, it's on. We can even do a fucking montage. So we see him at work the next day. Maybe Louis, what the little guy of the the group who was fucking with him at the bar. You know, like maybe he's having a cigarette break kind of behind one of the piles, and Phil comes around the corner and like just smiles at him, and we just see him like grab him by the throat and like shove his head in the garbage and just starts choking him out. You know, and then like and then he walks back around the hill of garbage, and he's got like a brand new gold watch, you know, just like, oh, look at that. And then we just keep this montage going where like maybe he's like even killing some of the ladies that were like just being dicks to him. Like we just see one of them, you know, at the bar like going home, and he picks her up and like drives her to the dump, and then like we see him just throwing the body in. Like, what did he do? We don't know, but she's dead now. You know, just like just fucking killing everybody and getting little gifts along the way.
Yeah, this is perfect, and we have to sort of end this little like, you know, montage sequence with, you know, one night, you know, he walks into the bar, not from work because he didn't fucking go to work that day, but he just walks into the bar, and the bartender, and we never really established who that was, and again, we don't have any ladies that aren't like ugly stereotypes, so you know, the bartender is going to be tough ass Connie, right? Connie's like, you know, she's the tough chick who can handle herself at this tough country bar, right? And
right.
So, you know, he walks in, and you see Connie just like, oh, like, look what the cat dragged in. And you just see him walking in like a fucking pimp. Like he's got like new clothes, like, you know, new, like, you know, lizard skin boots. You know, he's got like a nice rings and a watch. And he walks up to the bar, and he's just like, you know, hey, round on me. And he pulls out this like fat wallet with like his name stitched on it, and just like full of cash, you know. And it's like, you know, he starts just like, you know, whatever they need, it's on me. And now it's like it's going to his head a little bit because of course everyone else in the bar that he hasn't already killed is just like, oh, Phil, we love you, you know.
Right.
Like, oh, he's not Phil the fuck up anymore, now he's, you know, Phil's got lots of cash.
Right. So now, of course, everyone's going to love him. I think one of the things we have to do, and I know I'm skipping ahead here, but I feel like just to kind of show the taint of Phil's soul here, is like, I think that Mr. Gianni should be someone that he feeds to landfill. Maybe Mr. Gianni doesn't kill him. What if, like, you know, Phil goes back and he goes to like, you know, talk to Mr. Gianni about, can I get my room back? Because now he has the money, right?
There you go, yeah.
And have this conversation, this back and forth. And like maybe Mr. Gianni is like, you know, he takes him outside. He's like, come on outside, away from the wife. You know, he's like, I don't want her to hear this. And he's like, look, you know, Phil, I loved renting to you. He's like, you're a good kid. While he's having this conversation, he goes pale and starts grabbing at his chest like he starts having a heart attack.
Oh no.
And instead of taking him to the hospital, he takes him to the landfill. So this is like, and then because he gave an innocent, it's this, he gets a really good gift. Maybe that's what gives him all the money that he then goes to the bar with later. Because remember, we established that in the first one, that like the dumpster was fattening up Gus, like making him start to kill innocents because, like, I've now tainted your soul and now you're the tastiest morsel of them all. So the fact that he's feeding them evil people, but now he just gave him an innocent. And now he's going to get all this cash, and like he's going to get this windfall of prizes. So now he's not going to be so apprehensive to just straight up fucking murder.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is great. Yeah, we could let's show a couple, you know, more scenes like that. You know, maybe we hadn't really introduced a lot of other characters. I don't want to kill off like Connie the bartender, but you know, maybe at some point, you know, maybe he does. I don't know. Right. But yeah, there's got to be some other people in town that he's just going to be kind of like, you know, maybe you start seeing him stalking people, like, you know, the president of the bank's going to like lock up, you know, for the night, and you know, it's late at night, and then, you know, oh, here comes like, you know, somebody in a brand new coat like walking down, you know, the street following him, and then he goes off scene, or then, you know, whatever, like you start seeing shit like this, like people in town who were perfectly nice to Phil, you know, and they're starting to like disappear.
Yes.
And then, so let's get back to a scene where, he's in the bar again, and you know, he's like living the high life because of course, you know, he loves the watering hole. Now it's like his place. Now he's the Brock. You know, Brock's gone, and now he's got people who are like, you know, sucking his dick, you know, metaphorically, because he's buying all the drinks, and you know, and now he's playing pool. And maybe one of these guys that had been with Brock before, like I don't know, there was like I mentioned like Butch, fucking Dutch, another one of these guys, right?
Right.
Maybe have him walk in, and before he had been giving Phil a hard time, but now like Dutch is gonna walk. Maybe he's playing pool with him, and like he purposely like whiffs a shot, like, oh, I don't know, Phil, you're so good at this, and it's like, oh,
Right.
like this dude's just like he's changed his allegiance, to Phil. And maybe he says something to him like, oh, hey, by the way, like have you seen Mr. Gianni? Like, I don't know where he's been. Like, I started renting your old room above the garage. Like, first of all, that's a fucking pigsty, man. I don't know how you used to live like that, but whatever. Beside the point, Mrs. Gianni's been just in fits trying to figure out what happened to him. Like, he just disappeared a couple nights ago, and this is when you're gonna see Phil go, oh shit, like he had
Right.
really let things kind of get out of control to the point where when it happened, he was just like, oh, that sucks, Mr. Gianni, but more for me, and then kind of went out of control. And it just takes a perfectly normal person, like one of his former enemies, to ask him about it for him to get a little twinge of regret and like, oh shit, like, yeah, okay. But of course he's not going to say anything. You're just seeing the expression on his face. But now he's like, his body language is different. Like, he's a little bit bummed out. Maybe he's not having quite so much fun. Maybe he goes back over to the bar, orders a drink, sits down in his old bar stool where he always used to sit. Connie comes over and asks him what's going on, and maybe he's like, I can't think of another like good garbage pun, but he has to say something like, I got to go take care of something. But the point is, I want him to go up to the landfill again. And this time his goal is to go up there and find Mr. Duval. And just like we saw before, Mr. Duval was in there, late counting the money. Maybe he sees Mr. Duval's up at the landfill, or maybe Mr. Duval's just at his house, and maybe he's sitting outside in the car looking through the window. Oh, I love this. Yeah, he goes to Mr. Duval's house. He's sitting outside in the car in his brand new tricked out Camaro, looking through the window. He sees Mr. Duval in there, counting money like he always does or something, and then you see him like go to like, maybe he grabs like I don't know, an obvious weapon like a crowbar or a knife, and he goes to grab the car door handle, and then you see a hand on his wrist just for a second. He gets startled and turns, and there's the trash man sitting in the passenger seat. And then I want him to pull a real like Gus from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul kind of a moment where he's like, it is not in my best interest for you to do that right now. He doesn't want him to kill Mr. Duval because Mr. Duval runs the landfill. Like, you got to keep the landfill going. Like, you can't cut the top of the pyramid off. Like, again, I don't know what the speech is, but like you can't you can kill whoever you want at the bottom, but you can't take out the top just now. And maybe like he says something about Mr. Duval, like, yes, I see that you see his soul is black and his heart is dark, but one man's trash is another man's pleasure, and like,
Nice.
it just gets real fucking creepy. Like, no, you can't have this one. Pick somebody else, and and yeah, then let's have Phil go back to the bar, and he's not sure what to do, and maybe he sees Connie taking the trash out the back door, and he's like, and he sighs, and then the next thing you know, like, he's burying somebody with Connie's pink boots on, and it's like, motherfucker, why'd you do that?
Yes. Now, quick question for you. Do you have an ending in mind?
I know what I think I want to happen to the trash man that will allow this to connect to hot garbage. But from here on out, I don't have any other particular scenes that I had thought of. In fact, that scene where he tells him, don't kill Mr. Duval, is as far as I had gotten, other than like this final confrontation.
Because I thought you were leading somewhere else, and I had an idea. What I was thinking was that, Mr. Duval's in on it. Mr. Duval has all this money because he's been feeding the trash pile. He's been giving it. So when Phil goes to kill him, that's why the trash man's like, no, that's not going to happen. But maybe Duval knows what's going on with Phil, because again, the demon likes to corrupt innocent. He likes to take an innocent soul and corrupt it. So the idea is they picked a sacrificial lamb to push and push and push and push until he finally fucking broke. He got a little taste of the good life because he became evil for a bit. And then eventually he's going to go for Mr. Duval, but Mr. Duval's going to fucking shoot him in the gut and throw him in the trash pile and be like, how do you think I got here, Philly boy? Like, I've known about the trash man all along, like, and then we can see the trash man standing behind him, smiling the way he was in the trailer at the beginning. That's kind of where I thought you were going with it. So I was like, I don't know.
I like that. Hang on a second. I think we can do that. I think that'll work.
Okay.
Okay, I like that, but like, let's hang on to that for a second. Let's not reveal that just yet. Let's stay here at the scene, or go back to the scene in the car where he's gonna, go kill Mr. Duvall. The trash man stops him, and as he drives away, maybe Mr. Duvall hears the car and looks out the window and he sees him. Like, just to create this connection of like, Mr. Duvall knew he was there, right? Mm-hmm. And so then we do the scene where he goes back to the bar again. He sees Connie come out the back, and then like smash cut to like he's burying somebody wearing Connie's boots, and maybe now he's like crying while he does it, like, oh my god, what have I done? What am I gonna do? And after he like finishes burying Connie, I don't know what gift he's going to get from that, because at this point, like, the gifts aren't important really to the plot, but because he's like having regrets, he's having second thoughts. Oh shit, I got it. So he finishes burying Connie. He's crying, like he's going to come out of the landfill to go back to his car, and then we see the trash man standing there like, at his car, or maybe he's all the way back at the bar at this point. Yeah, let's have him get all the way back to the bar at this point. He goes all the way back to the bar, and the trash man is standing there, and maybe what the trash man has is like he's holding like like a pair of keys and like a piece of paper, and it's like, Philly's like, I don't fucking want it, I don't care what it is, like this has got to be over. And he's like, what, you don't want the deed to the watering hole? It's your favorite place in the world. Like, it's right. Yours now. Where I had been going with the story is I wanted to have this confrontation here where Phil's going to turn on the trash man in the same way that Gus kind of turned on the dumpster and was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And the dumpster just kind of like went nuts. So I want him to kind of like, turn on the trash man, but, he's going to start, whatever, yelling and telling him, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, you can't make me, like, I don't want any more of these gifts. Like, keep the keys, keep the deed. Like, here, take the jacket, take the keys to my car. I don't want any of this. Like, this has to stop, and, of course, the trash man's, he's a smooth motherfucker, right? He's a smooth talker, and he's like, Philly. Remember that name, right? Like, only his brother called him that. Like, Philly, let's talk. It's okay. It's like, all these things that, that I was doing for you, no one else was doing for you. Your life was terrible. Your life was in the dumps. Haha, right? Garbage pun,
Right.
And he puts his arm around him, and he's like, I'm just here to help. I'm here to show you what you had to do. You did all of this. This wasn't for me. I mean, sure, nice car, nice pair of boots, but good things come to those, who wait, or whatever. I don't know what he says. Like, good things come. And he's like, but you're the one, you did all of this. I can't think of the way to say this, but I want him to say something like, you have to know when it's time to throw away the bad things in life. And in my head, I was thinking, this is where Phil is going to come to the realization that you're the bad thing in my life, not all this other stuff. Like, you're the bad thing in my life, and have him like literally like throw the trash man away, because he turns his own magic back on him. You wanted me to throw all this stuff away, and I did that for you, but you're the bad thing in my life. You're the thing that needs to be thrown away. And it's just sort of had this like dramatic, supernatural moment where Phil's gonna like pick him up and go fucking literally throw him in the dumpster, but like the trash man can't do anything about it, and he starts like freaking out, like, what are you doing? Like, let go of me. And he's like transforming from this like human looking guy in a black hat and a suit to like, he's got like a demon face and like claws, and there's like smoke coming out of his mouth, and his eyes start to flame. And he's like panicking because, like any like demon from any like biblical parable, if you turn their logic back on them, like, they're powerless to stop it. And he literally throws the trash man away in this dumpster behind the bar that just like erupts in flames, like, there's the hot garbage, But now, of course, he's trapped in there. And I had an idea for like, how to end this. So in my head, I was thinking like, he'd throw him in there, the dumpster would like roar to flame, the flame would die down, Phil would look in the dumpster, there's nothing in there, no fire, no body, no trash man, and then have him reach up to like take the lid of the dumpster and have him say, good riddance to bad. Smash to black, and you see the title, Bad Rubbish,
Nice.
But I really like this idea that you had of like, well, how do we make it so that Mr. Duvall was in on it and can kind of like turn on him? Like, can we do both? Because I like both ideas.
Well, I mean, obviously the trash man exists on. So what if we do this thing, like, I like the idea of him killing the bartender because it was like one of his friends, but there was one thing that we had did in Hot Garbage where we kind of had diminishing returns, where
Okay.
the gifts started getting less and less. So they weren't amping up the way they are in this. So like, what if, like, he kills her because he's like, I got to keep getting my gifts, right? And then, like, he just gets, like, maybe it's like a half a bottle of booze or something. He's just like, what the
Hmm.
fuck? Like, he's kind of freaking out, like, what the hell do I need to do? Like, what do you want from me? Like, that whole thing. I kind of like the idea of, and again, this is your story, so I'm totally fine with ending it where you'd mentioned that, say good riddance to bad rubbish, because that's fucking awesome. But like the idea of Duvall being in on it. So we have, he wants to end it. He's like, the trash man told him not to kill Duvall. So like he goes, maybe he sees like the light on in Duvall's office. Like maybe it's the next day, like after, where he's like, I can't do this anymore. I gotta stop. And he goes there. He sees Duvall's light on in the office. He confronts him. Duvall shoots him, like puts a bullet in his belly, like I was saying, and then like kicks him down the trash heap. And kind of says, like, I knew about this all the time, Philly. Like, the whole thing of like, I've been feeding the trash man. He goes, where do you think I got all my wealth from? It's like, I've been doing this for a long time. And he goes, he especially likes corrupting souls like you. It kind of does one of
Hmm.
those things. And maybe the trash man turns on Duvall here. I don't know how we want to do it, but I was thinking the demon, or the soul trapped in the dumpster in Hot Garbage, what if it was Phil? What if
Okay.
he became part of the trash heap? Like all
Hmm.
those souls, all those lost souls become part of the trash man.
Oh, okay. I see what you're coming
So,
from.
but I'm totally cool however you want to do it, because I think your ending was really good too.
I think I like having Duval betray Phil, and I think that's a good twist. But as much it would be a fun sort of like Tales from the Crypt ending to have Phil just lose everything and get buried in the trash heap with everybody else. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's good, but I don't know that it's a good ending for the genre of the movie we had here, where it's like, we had this good guy who, goes on this like holy crusade, but kind of realizes his intentions were misaligned, and I want him to kind of fix it and redeem it, and in my head, I was thinking that the spirit in the dumpster is the trash man, but he's
Right.
trapped in there now. He had this whole landfill and these people working for him, and of course he was free to do whatever and go whatever. And now he's literally like trapped in a dumpster that gets like shipped out to some alleyway behind an old bookstore in New York. Like, it's like he really falls in the world. So yeah, let's do something like this instead, where when Phil goes, I'm not sure if it's after or before he kills Connie, but while Phil's out at the landfill, like, let's have some more drama right here. So yeah, after he kills Connie, he goes out there to the landfill. He's burying Connie. He's crying. Maybe he goes to leave, and the trash man is there, and he's like holding a cigar. He's like, there you go. Congratulations. And then Phil realizes, like, that's it. That's the gift. A fucking cigar. Like, what the hell? Like, we had a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Mr. Duvall says, oh, he's got lots of deals. Mr. Duvall, who we hadn't seen before, like, you just hear his voice, and Phil's like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, oh, Phil, you poor misguided soul. Like, what do you think I've been doing up here all these years, like building my wealth? Have you ever thought about like what the foundation of this hill is? This is Golgotha. This is built on a field of blood, whatever. Like, he's using all this sort of like biblical language to drive home how evil but also dramatic it is.
Right.
And then have him go to, maybe that's exactly what he does. He shoots Phil, and he goes to kill him, goes to pull the sort of Tales from the Crypt ending, where he starts to bury Phil, who's like bleeding. Maybe we see that camera shot from like Phil's perspective, where like the shovel full gets like thrown on his face, and you think, oh shit, that's it. But no, like, Phil, he's our hero. Like, let's have him bounce back from that. Like, no, fuck you, I'm not gonna get buried. Like, you're going down, Mr. Duvall. And of course, the trash man told him not to kill Mr. Duvall. So this is the best way that he could betray the deal he had with Trash Man is, he's not going to just lay down and die. Like, he's shot, but this is an 80s like action movie. He's going to get up from that, and he's going to struggle with Mr. Duvall, and the Trash Man. Maybe the Trash Man like literally like jumps into Mr. Duvall, and while he's sitting there, while they're like rolling around and they're struggling, you see Duvall's face go all like twisted and demonic, and his eyes, get fiery, just and back to human and back to fiery, and it's so you kind of see he's literally struggling with his demon.
Wait. I'm sorry to cut you off. I kind of just the merger of both ideas kind of hit me at once.
Okay.
Okay. So again, we do the whole thing where we have the confrontation, like you said, like he gets the cigar and he's like, what the fuck? Like, that's all, like, and then the whole, there's multiple deals, blah, blah, blah. We have Mr. Duvall kind of step out of the shadows and show that like he's been aware of this the whole time, all that kind of stuff. Well, maybe we have like, Mr. Duvall be like, but sorry, Philly, it's time to take out the trash. Like, does something like that and goes to shoot him, but he doesn't, like, maybe he misses, or maybe Phil jumps out of the way, something where there's a struggle. And the Trash Man is helpless to stop it because he's a spirit. He's an entity. He has to convince others to do his bidding for him. So there's this struggle, and maybe the Trash Man's like freaking out because he's about to kill Mr. Duvall. Maybe Phil kills Mr. Duvall, and like he goes he pulls the gun from him and he shoots him. Duvall goes rolling down the hill. Phil's all fucked up and scraped up and all that. He gets up and he looks at the Trash Man. Maybe the Trash Man's like, well, congratulations, it's all yours now. Basically going on about how like he's now going to be the new Mr. Duvall. But then we have him be like, no, it's good riddance to, does the whole bad rubbish. And like, this is where he grabs him and throws him in a fucking dumpster. And we do the whole like flaming lid and all that. And he looks in and he's like, then does the bad rubbish line. So Phil wins in the end by not giving in to that final temptation.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, and I was picturing, the Trash Man, telling him like, yeah, congratulations, it's all yours now. But this is where, Phil's got to be really emotional and angry in this moment. He's like, I don't want your gift. Like, all I ever wanted was my life back, and that sort of thing. And kind of like, let's drive home, very dramatically that, Phil is not only realizing that he's been doing something wrong, but he's realizing that he never needed the Trash Man in the first place. He just needed to do something in his fucking life and like, do something to take his life back and to make his life into something instead of just sitting at the fucking bar waiting for handouts or, waiting for, finding something cool every once in a while. If he had just, gotten himself up off the bar stool and did something with his life, none of this would have happened, something like that. So I love that. Yeah, I love that. I'm not sure logistically like how we get from the landfill to a dumpster, because why would there be a dumpster at a landfill? I kind of like the idea of the being the dumpster behind the bar, but whatever, like it doesn't matter. I think that's a small detail.
Well, maybe because I mean, like, I don't know, like, wouldn't dumpsters? Oh no, they would just be like, yeah, never mind. I was thinking like, wouldn't there be dumpsters there? But no, there would probably just be like big like shipping containers.
Yeah, or it could just be that like as Phil is like yelling at the Trash Man and like he killed Duvall, Trash Man's like, hey, you won, congratulations, and they have this dramatic argument. Have Phil just like take off, like like fuck you, I'm out of here, like I'm going back. I don't need you to get my life back, and have me he drive. Maybe he doesn't what it is. He just drives back to town, like he goes back to the bar, and then when he gets there, the Trash Man's already there, and he like with the keys and the deed to the bar is like, oh, did you forget? Did you forget where Connie was? Congratulations, like this is your bar now. I told you it's all yours. And then this is where again they continue their argument, and and this is where Phil finally realizes, because he was like, his blood was hot back at the landfill where he was like yelling and getting angry, but now he's had the drive to kind of calm down. He sees the Trash Man again, and now he's just like, oh, you motherfucker, like I got your number now, like I get it, and that's again when he turns his like biblical logic back on him to say, when the Trash Man's like, you need to know how to throw away the bad things in your life, and that's what I'm here to do, Philly, like that's what I help you do. And he's like, no, you're the bad thing in my life. And he's able to kind of use that sort of verbal magic to throw the Trash Man in the trash, and then we do good riddance to bad rubbish.
Bad rubbish. Cue the guitar riff.
Yeah, I like it. So we stumbled a little bit, like trying to figure out how to get to that ending, but I was having a lot of fun along the way.
Oh yeah, well this is something that often happens with these original ideas, is where when we're trying to get to the ending, Like we both have ideas and we're like trying to figure out how they fit together. But I mean, it's like we've said tons of times. These episodes are like sitting in a writing room with people as they try to come up with a story. Like there's going to be backtracking. There's going to be like, wait, scratch that, try this, crash these two ideas together. Like that. That's how a writing room works. So like that's hopefully the listeners dig it. That we do that. But it's like that's kind of the process.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really only ever get a little hesitant about it because I'm like, oh man, we're making people like sit here and like listen to us go, wait, no, never mind, hold on, shit,
Right.
But yeah, but that's the same way even when you're just sitting in a room by yourself trying to write a story. Like how many times have you written 5 pages of something and went like, no, this is not going where I want it to go. You scratch all that out or crumple it up and then you write that scene over again. I've done that so many times. Yeah, that's why you have to go through so many drafts. But like we don't, and in this case we're doing it live, so we don't have the luxury of like doing a first draft and a second draft. Like this is just, live to the listeners.
Exactly. But I think we got there in the end. I definitely like this. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for coming along for the ride. Thanks for letting me bring my original idea back to the table to do a prequel to Hot Garbage, which is still funny to even think about. But yeah, I kind of like this. And, it wasn't exactly the same kind of genre as I mentioned going into the beginning. Like it's not exactly, like a Death Wish or a Roadhouse, but I just really like that sort of approach. And, it always annoys me, and it shouldn't, because, as like a decent human being, I shouldn't want people to go on like murder sprees, but it always annoys me when I see characters in movies or like Daryl from The Walking Dead who are set up as these like badass characters, but they never just fucking go to town. Like, what I mean? Like they never just start wiping out fools, because like that's what you want to see in an action movie,
Exactly.
Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up. We've been talking for a while. So again, thanks for listening, everyone out there, to us ramble eventually to get to something that I think would be pretty cool. But in the meantime, if you need something else to listen to, don't forget to check out redpantheon.com or at redpantheon on all the social medias to check out the rest of the members of this super team of podcasters and musicians, artists, and other creative folks who have all kinds of cool stuff out there for you to check out. So if you haven't done it yet, go check out redpantheon.com. You can listen to more of our episodes in our backlog in lots of different ways, and you can find those at raisedbyrentals.com and of course on the socials at Raised by Rentals. Mike, do you have anything going on?
Nothing really to plug right now other than Count Creepyhead Saturday Morning Monster Mash. It's the only one that I got currently still going on. Boogeyman's Closet is unfortunately still on hiatus. Hopefully will be coming back in short time, I hope, but it's definitely up in the air at the moment. And then, I know I launched Member Berries and Munchies, but we haven't had a chance to really get back into that. So it's still on the table. It will be coming back, probably closer to the fall winter season when things are a little less hectic for getting schedules set up together. But yeah, so just like you said, check out radpantheon.com, and anything I come up with will be there.
Absolutely. Lots of cool stuff on there to check out. So once again, thank you for tuning in to the Raised by Rentals program. If you had fun with us, as always, visit us on the socials, drop us a line, leave us a comment, leave a podcast rating. Let us know what you think we should improve next time. And with that, I'm Josh.
I'm Mike.
And we have to return some videotapes. Raised by Rentals is a member of the Rad Pantheon Network. Visit radpantheon.com to support rad stuff. The theme music is Forbidden Fruit by Velvet Bethany. You can purchase music and learn more at velvetbethany.com.
Garbage Day!